Who would have thought that Manila's suicidal coming out story was going to be a good metaphor for this entire episode? Because you know what? This was just not funny. This would have been a good episode, I think, for Pandora Box to actually have been here. I think Mimi on first and Pandora Box probably would have gotten over the hurdle if they'd actually stayed through this episode. Because Pandora Box is a comedy queen. And this episode was supposed to be entirely funny, but it wasn't. I was actually happy to see Vicki Lawrence on the show. She's from Mama's Family and the Carol Burnett show way back in the day. I grew up watching that show, so it was hilarious to me on television. Love Vicki Lawrence. Her guest spot, though, on RuPaul's Drag Race is kind of awkward because she was the only funny one on the entire show. Everybody else was supposed to be funny, and she was really the only one that was funny. And I guess it was kind of funny, though, that we found out that Chanel was a top. There's no way in hell that Nina Flowers is a bottom. And when Vicki Lawrence said that Tammy Brown was like a woman from a whole other planet, that actually was very true. Tammy Brown is all over the place. In fact, she's right here in this place. I have a special guest today. Tammy Brown is here with me. Okay, so I'm here with legendary Tammy Brown. She just got kicked off of RuPaul's Drag Race. And Tammy Brown, I predicted that you would probably go, probably episode 2. What do you have to say for that? I don't quite understand what you just said. Can you please repeat that? Alright, so there you have it, Tammy Brown, folks. And just like that, the Teletubbies beamed her up to Mars because she didn't even last 2 episodes. So, she went back to that other planet, wherever she came from. Overall, I think that this entire episode was very predictable, it was very bland, it was very boring, kind of corny in a way. There wasn't really that much that happened that was funny. It's supposed to be a comedy episode. Everything fell flat. None of the jokes were interesting. None of them held my attention. In fact, I was thinking about fast-forwarding through most of the episode just to get to the runway. Now, the runway was kind of interesting. I did like a lot of their choices on the runway. But I just don't see how the mini challenges in this season, the All-Star season, compare to the runway. You know, in previous seasons, they've had to do some type of look on the runway that correlates with the mini challenges. Okay, all the mini challenges in this episode, there were like 4, I think there were. There was Howdy Roo, the cocktail party skit, Peekaroo, where they did this like joke wall, kind of like on the Grand Ole Opry, Hee Haw, or whatever the hell that show was. Hee Haw, I think was what it was called. And then they got a pie in the face at the end. It didn't really make much sense. The runway look, everyone did old 1960s, 1970s looks, and I guess maybe the theme that they were going for was, I don't know, Hee Haw fashion? Because it's only from that era, is the Hee Haw era. But none of the queens tried to be funny on the runway, except for maybe Manila Luzon with her cross-eyed Barbie. That was pretty much it. Everybody else was very, the looks were good, but they weren't funny. I know last week there were a lot of YouTube reviewers that were making comments. More or less all of us kind of agreed that it was almost predictable. The language barrier would come to hinder Nina Flowers, Alexis Mateo, Jara Sofia. It would come up in a challenge, one challenge or another, that these people don't have that good of English. As if it's like this major hindrance, and it's a liability, and it would put them in the bottom 2. You could almost tell that they were trying to make us think that Jarlexis was going to be in the bottom 2, just for the simple fact that Rue was like, can you tell a joke? How are you going to be able to tell a joke in good English and get it to come across to the audience? It wasn't that bad. Actually, they ended up winning this challenge, Alexis. Because they loved Jara Sophia's Charo. They didn't really like Alexis Mateo's character. She was Shakira. I don't know why I had to think about that. I would have thought that Jara Sophia would make a great Shakira. But Charo was a good choice. Charo's just funny. And it kind of matches with Jara Sophia's personality. So I think that was good. Alexis Mateo, they said, was the straight man in the role. I don't know. I didn't quite get that. The runway, they looked stupendous. They looked great. And they actually ended up winning the challenge. Now, Nina Flowers, though, was in the bottom, too. Because she picked a character for this joke wall that wasn't... No one knew who it was. No one would know who that was. This whole episode just ended up leaving me feeling very blah. It's also the reason why I'm filming in this filter where the only color that stands out is blue, the rest of it's black and white. It's because this entire episode was just very blah to me, very blue, very cold. Wasn't hilarious at all. Vicki Lawrence was funny, like I had said before. Rue had a couple of good zingers, especially when she was talking to Raven and Jujubee, and she was kind of throwing shade, but that was really the only fun parts of this entire episode. Latrice was tragic. Latrice was absolutely tragic this entire episode, so I'm beginning to think that Manila Luzon and Latrice might be the next ones to go. Thought Latrice did a lot better last season on Drag Race than she's performing in All Stars. Manila would do quite well if she was on another team with another queen. I think Latrice is just really a huge liability.